Hi guys, my name is Amber, and for those of you who don't know, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. So, as you will have seen in my vlog if you watched those, last week I got to go to Fantastic Beasts 2, Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, or Grindelwald. And there has been so much controversy around this movie, so I thought I would make a video about all of the mistakes they made, the things I did like, some of the Easter eggs, so I hope you enjoy. A warning, this video will contain spoilers, so if you haven't watched the movie just yet, please click out of this video and watch it first and then come back maybe, because I don't want to ruin the experience for you. So I'm gonna start off with a few of the things I did really like, especially because I'm such a Harry Potter fan. I saw quite a few Easter eggs, specifically, and I wrote them down, which is why I'm looking over here. A lot of name drops that happened. First off, Rosier. She's one of the people who help Grindelwald. And actually, Rosier is a name that comes into play in the Harry Potter series because he's one of the, her grandson or something, is one of the first Death Eaters to join Voldemort. Another name that I really thought was really funny, in the scene where the Ministry of Magic kind of just drops into Dumbledore's class, a student stands up for him, and the student's name is McLaggen, which is actually the name of the person that Hermione takes as her date to Slughorn's party in the Harry Potter series. Which I really love to see that name. It really made me chuckle in the film, so that's very fun. Another one, I think the biggest Easter egg is obviously Nicholas Flamel seeing the guy in person from the first movie, and actually the Philosopher's Stone, or Sorcerer's Stone if you're from across the pond, is also in this movie, in the background. Yeah, seeing this guy in the film was really fun for me, especially because, you know, this is the first movie of the Harry Potter series, so it's really my childhood, and yeah, that was just very fun. And then another one is where Grindelwald actually says the phrase "for the greater good," which is written in the final book and the, I think, final movie. It's written in a letter from Albus to Gellert, so it's something that actually Dumbledore said first, and Grindelwald uses it as his slogan in the end, which is like a really fun detail. It's nice to see how the current series and the first series actually are kind of interwoven. One other thing, and the last thing I really liked, is also the inclusion of Nurmengard and World War II. J.K. Rowling is really trying to make sure we incorporate the real history of humans with the Wizarding World history, which makes it feel so much cooler, so much better. So I really enjoyed that, and I hope and I think that the next movie will be taking place somewhere in the 30s, and then the one after that, the fourth one, might actually be a war movie, because obviously everyone will have to go to war. I'm looking forward to that one. Second part of this video, a few of the mistakes that I've seen floating around the internet, in blogs, in fan posts of critics basically. It's all criticism and I get it, but I think all of these things can be explained either in movies to come, or actually if you just know your Harry Potter history, you will know that these things are actually possible. I've written down a list. So the first one is the scene where the Ministry officials actually apparate into Hogwarts onto the bridge. Now a lot of people say, oh my god, this isn't possible, there's no way that you can apparate or disapparate within the Hogwarts grounds. This is a well-known fact, only the headmaster can do this. Now I think A, there's the possibility that actually there's a border and the bridge is actually the border where you can still apparate. Or B, it's possible that they just had some kind of admission or whatever because they knew they were coming, I don't know. So the next one is the fact that Jacob's memories aren't actually completely erased. Now, if you have been paying attention in the first movie, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Newt actually does say that the Thunderbird serum actually only erases bad memories. And obviously, they actually do say it in this film, Jacob didn't have a lot of bad memories. Most of the memories he made with the foursome are actually all good. So it's normal that he did remember most of the things that happened. So if that's one of your issues, please pay attention. Another one that I really hate is the whole Transfiguration Defense Against the Dark Arts issue with Dumbledore. In this movie, he's teaching Defense Against the Dark Arts. It's explicitly stated so. And everyone's going on about the fact that he should be teaching Transfiguration. We know he is teaching Transfiguration, blah, 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 blah. Now, it's possible, I think, that he just changes courses after this movie. Who the hell knows? I mean, not everyone teaches the same subject their entire career in our world, and I assume in the Wizarding world you can also change career. You don't have to keep doing the same thing. So that's also another one that I'm like, why are you moaning about this tiny detail? I assume he can have like ideas about his own career, right? So the next one is the Deus Ex Machina with the Nifflers at the end of the movie. Grindelwald is constantly wearing this little vial in which it has the blood pact that he and Albus made when they were younger. And in the big conclusion scene, actually a Niffler escapes from, the Niffler escapes from Newt's case and goes and picks up the shiny vial, and that's the reason they can actually have the blood pact and return it to Albus. I get that a lot of people don't like the fact that the Niffler just escaped and it doesn't seem to be something that Newt actually planned, but at the same time, I'm not sure that he didn't plan it. I think it could be actually planned and he knew that the Niffler would actually get out. He does it all the time. And on the other hand, I like the fact that it incorporates the beast as one of the main solvers of the problem, basically. So yeah, I think that's amazing. And I really loved seeing the Niffler in action again. Obviously, it's the cutest beast we have, in my opinion. Especially the new baby Nifflers. I hope you caught those because those were amazing. Speaking of a blood pact, there is a lot of controversy around when exactly this blood pact was made between Albus and Gellert. I personally think that it happened right after the big fight where his sister died, Albus' sister. Because, in my opinion, I think they made the blood pact to make sure something like that didn't happen again, and then they stopped talking to each other. Because obviously in the Harry Potter series, it's stated that they stopped talking to each other after the big fight happened. Another one that has to do with the whole relationship between Albus and Gellert is actually the fact that a lot of people didn't like the fact that the gayness of Albus got incorporated into the story after the fact, and two, that in this movie it isn't really touched upon. Like, there's one sentence or one moment where it's a little, like, there's some speculation, but they're not really incorporating it completely. And I get that for the LGBTQ plus community this might be kind of a setback and they might have hoped for more representation, but at the same time I think you should think about the time they're living in right then. And obviously being gay wouldn't, or being openly gay would still be an issue, even in the wizarding world. It's still an issue for some people today. So how can you expect to have people actually be openly gay in that period of time? Come on. So I think maybe as the story progresses, we'll see more hints, but it'll never be completely out in the open, which is normal for the period of time it's filmed in. Oh, and the last one is actually kind of a technical issue. At the entrance of the circus in Paris, there's this statue and it moves its skirt to let wizards through. Now, a lot of people were thinking Jacob got through to this other dimension, basically. How is this possible? He's a muggle, or a no-mage, or whatever you want to call them. Well, I think it's the same as with Platform 9 3/4 in London, because as we know from the books, especially the first book, Platform 9 3/4 is actually a platform you can get onto if you know it's there. So it doesn't have anything to do with your blood status or anything. It's just a question of, do you know it's there and do you have an intention to go there? The same would happen with, I think, this statue in Paris. My last part of this video is actually all of the actual real mistakes they've made. The things that annoy me, the things I really hate, and I wish there would be, for some reason they have the biggest budget ever, but they still fucked up these things. But okay. First off, obviously McGonagall. McGonagall is actually born in 1935, and this movie takes place in 1927, and she's in the movie. She's teaching at Hogwarts as a 20-year-old, or something like that. What the hell? How on earth can you make this kind of mistake if you're in a franchise of this size? You know that the fandom is so engaged, we all know all of the details, so how on earth can you manage to make such a big mistake, especially if it's your universe? Joanne, I don't know what happened there, but please fix it. Another thing that I thought was weird, but it's not a mistake per se, is Queenie's development. She goes from being this really nice and kind of daft person to suddenly joining the dark side. I get the motivation behind it, I just feel like I'm doing it out of love is a bit lazy on the filmmaker's part. But like, it could have been paced better. It's going quite sudden, and I feel like there should have been more of an internal struggle with Queenie before she decides to join them. The same kind of pacing / badly explained idea goes for Credence being alive. There's no explanation whatsoever. He's just alive. Just deal with it. It's canon now. I don't like that as well. I have the same issue actually with Newt and Tina escaping the ministry, or like getting into the ministry in the first place. I feel like a ministry of that size would be protected better, and it wouldn't just be, "Hi, I'm Lita," and you just walk into the records like nothing ever happened. And then 10 seconds later, the whatever record keeper decides, "Oh, I'm gonna set my cat beasts onto you, because now I think you're actually some kind of villain." Now I know, suddenly, 10 minutes later, I don't know. I did like that scene though. I'm a huge cat fan, as you know, so the scene between the big cat and the tiny cats fighting, I love that one. Two bigger mistakes, well, I've said McGonagall, but two bigger mistakes. Grindelwald and Grindelwald. Apparently Jude Law, who plays Albus Dumbledore, made a mistake somehow. He said Grindelwald instead of Grindelwald. I would say Grindelwald as well, because I think it's a German name, so you would say the W as a V. That's something they didn't correct. Now they just have this explanation of, oh, they've been friends forever, and he asked him to say it differently. I don't know. It's a weird thing. But the biggest mistake that I haven't actually seen a lot online is the Elder Wand. Nobody seems to have noticed that in the first movie, Newt disarms Gellert, while Gellert is drinking polyjuice potion and carrying another wand, but still. And if you would take the parallel with the Harry Potter series, it's the exact same thing that happens to Harry and Draco. Harry disarms Draco and thus becomes the owner of the Elder Wand. The same thing happens in these movies, but still in the second movie, for some reason, Gellert still owns the Elder Wand and everything's fine, nothing has happened, he's still the master of the Elder Wand. Either this is a mistake and they just forgot to mention it, or it's something that will come into play in the next few movies and I've just spoiled them entirely for you. I'm sorry if that's the case. I hope not. I think this is all I have to mention about Fantastic Beasts. I still did like the movie as a whole. I still got emotional going to it. I love being back in the Harry Potter world, but they did make mistakes that took away from the magic a bit. Doesn't mean I won't go to the next movies. You know I will throw my money at J.K. Rowling until the end of time, basically. And maybe that makes me a stupid person, or maybe that makes me a stupid fan. I don't care. I still love the movies. And they can make mistakes. As long as they keep making me feel happy, I'm gonna keep going. Thank you for watching my videos. If you have any thoughts to share, or if you think I've missed stuff, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about this movie. I would love to talk about it a bit more. And I will see you next time. Bye!